I should shut that back door. So we're gonna wait just a little bit for people to join in. If you're joining in, this is Googling Your Church. We have Matt Dalton with us with Next Agency on understanding our Google page and the impact that has on ministry. So we're waiting for you all to come online and be able to connect with us in this webinar. So we're excited about to have you here. Again, I'm Jason Sheeler, the pastor at Hope in the Beach Church, but also the ministry mission exec, part-time exec for the Southern District. And we're bringing you this webinar in order to help you make you aware of opportunities you have to connect with people so they can connect to your church, connect to Christ, and find you. And the way people are searching today is really on Google. You know, that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, how to use that, leverage that. And we have blessed with Matt Dalton, who's a certified Google, I call it expertise, but who knows what Google's doing, and Google tells them what they're doing. So we get to know how Google thinks and how Google looks at us, which, you know, you got to look underneath the hood at the code of what they're looking at to understand what you need to do. And so that's what we're going to expose today, so you can understand that and make some choices for your ministry that way. We're going to wait just a little bit more and then we will just get in, but we appreciate you joining in. And again, we'll have follow-up questions for you and give you time to do that. And then, great. Glad you're here. Keep coming in. Let us know you're here. It's great. And yeah, this is great for churches, and glad to hear that you're all. I'm going to Miss Olson that you have joined us, and Bernie's here. Great. Well, I see some people are coming in, so we're just going to get started, and then you're welcome to, again, put your questions in. We'll be glad to answer any questions we can as we go along through this, but we do want to kind of give you a big overview and then dive down where you see needs. Again, my name is Jason Sheeler. I'm the pastor of Hope in the Beach Church, but also part-time mission exec here for the Southern District, and we're bringing this webinar because for my own little journey, we did a partnership with our county that worked with the Next Agency, doing some marketing for our community, and they wanted to give a flavor of the community. So when people are coming to their with the chambers, what's this community about? And so our church was selected for that. We partnered with them, and then after doing that, we got introduced to the idea of maybe taking the next step and looking at our Google, and also, and we just had no idea. And so I was surprised. I just didn't realize we were aware of the Google page, although I did use it. And I never just made that connection between, hey, I'm using this to look at restaurants and everything else. Why am I not thinking about this for the church? And I have also, in our area, we've done yard signs, we've done mailers, we've done Facebook posts and boosts and all sorts of other ways of getting out the information to the church, and had very mixed results with it. And, you know, trying to measure those results, but it's very difficult to measure. And what I loved about this, what I found out is that not only the impact it is making, but it's measurable, and that's pretty cool. And so we got connected with Matt Dalton. We've been working together for now 2 years. We're on our second year, right?
2 years. Yep.
2 years. So we have 1 year track record, and I'm really excited to see what's happening. Matt, again, is he's a certified Google expert. He works with Next ad agency in New York, and Matt's worked with churches and businesses all over the place. But I think what's great about it, he's incredibly helpful. His team is incredibly professional, efficient, responsive. They have just been more ready to serve us, and we probably been overwhelmed. It's like, hey, we can do things. We can do things. Let us know. And so we are grateful for their heart, their work. And I wanted to bring him in so he could share with us, all of us, some of this information to make you aware of how you can leverage this for your ministry. So, Matt, why don't you just give a little introduction and help us out, and we'll start walking us through some of this.
Yeah, and Pastor Jason, I want to thank you for the opportunity to meet with everybody, and thank you for putting all of this together, and especially the very nice, kind words. It's been a joy working with you and your team. And as you mentioned, we initially got started with you on the Walton Area Chamber of Commerce video program. Again, my name is Matt Dalton. I'm with CGI Digital and Next Ad Agency. And I would urge anybody, if you find interest in kind of what we're walking through today, I would love the opportunity to set you up with a meeting with myself or one of my teammates to kind of go through the information a little bit further. My email address is mattd, M-A-T-T-D, at cgicompany.com, or I can also be reached at my phone number. It's 800-398-3029, and my direct extension is 308. So I'll repeat that information towards the end of our meeting here, just for anybody to kind of catch up and make sure that we can set up a time to go through things a little bit more personally with them. But one of the things that our clients really appreciate, as Pastor Jason mentioned, we have a very hands-on approach. Every client that I work with, they've got my personal contact information, my cell phone number, email address, my office line, of course, too. We're here for you to make sure that you're showing up throughout searches, because we do understand how important it is for people looking for a parish, looking for that family community, to really make sure that they're connected, whether they're new to the area or just looking to make that connection. So there's a lot that we focus on as a company. CGI Digital, we've actually been an establishment for over 30 years now. We're in partnership with over 3,000 cities, counties, chambers of commerces, working on video programs that are featured directly on their government websites. And as Pastor Jason alluded to, that kind of creates a nice welcome to those people that are looking for information about the area, and also connects them to essential services and businesses that they would need upon moving to the area as well. So that's how we initially got involved with Pastor Jason and Hope on the Beach Church. From there, as he mentioned, we kind of let him know about some services that we had as far as making sure that he was visible in search, guiding people effectively, and also reputation management, which has been huge. I believe now, Pastor Jason, we're actually up about 30 new reviews for the church since we started working together. And you and Jacob have been a huge part of that, providing us with the information that we need so that we can reach out and gain those reviews too. So
yeah, you're really enlightened to talk. I mean, I can talk about, but reputation and credibility, your two big words you have educated us on. You want to explain that more?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, in search, Google takes into account really three different factors. It's proximity, prominence, and relevance. So those three factors we're really trying to take into play for any business search. Proximity being how close you are to that person that's doing that search in that general area or the community that they're doing that search for. Prominence, how long you've been an establishment, how prominent that reputation is for the business, or in your case, the church. And then relevance, how relevant you are to some of those key search terms that they're searching out. So we want to make sure that we really build that out accordingly. So what I'll kind of do is kind of take you from the start of everything that we've taken care of for Hope on the Beach Church to where we're kind of at today, and Pastor Jason, kind of what we go through in our quarterly meetings together too. Okay. Yes. So what I'll do is jump into my screen sharing here. Okay. And what I'm just going to do here is go into your website here. So if we start off on the website here, one of the things that we always want to make sure that we're really paying attention to, we want to make sure that we've got the background build out necessary that Google wants to see here. So we're consistently evaluating kind of the background of the page and really making sure that everything that needs to be in place on the page is in place in the background. So we do go through our SEO reports, and that's where we're evaluating those keyword build outs in the background or key tags in the background, because how we view the website, It's everything that we're seeing, but what Google sees in the background is all this coding, okay? So with our phase SEO reports, I'll jump into that, but to kind of start off at where we initially started working with you, like I mentioned, our company, CGI, we've been in partnership with over 3,000 cities, towns, communities nationwide in regards to video content on their government sites. So this patent is largely where we came into play with our video programs. This patent through Google, it's dated back to March 31st of 2005, same patent that Google operates off of today. So what I've done here is kind of highlighted the key points. And we'll see here, links may be weighted based on how much the documents containing the links are trusted. Now, documents back in 2005, just another word for websites. So we'll see there, example government documents. Yeah, government websites can be given high trust. So we kind of fell upon this authority through the patent in creating all this video content for chambers, for counties, for cities nationwide that we teamed up with in regards to their video programs. What we'll see here, specifically when somebody does a search for Walton Area Chamber of Commerce, we'll see here the chamber's website, top result to show up in that search due to the domain authority that Google's recognizing for what's to be a government website there. So if we click on that, we'll get directed to the chamber's homepage. And as we scroll down here, the chamber's featured right on the homepage, find business videos from our members. So if I click on that, that'll take us directly into our community video project. And we'll see here, we're on the welcome section. Now, our videography team went through a complete walkthrough of the Walton Area Chamber of Commerce, the community as a whole. And we have these introductory videos that we've done for the chamber. However, around that, we'll notice all these sponsorship logos from businesses that we've worked with throughout the chamber. So if I click on quality of life, where we're featured here, we'll see the logo for Hope on the Beach Church. Now, when I click on that, that'll take us directly into the video for Hope on the Beach Church. Okay. Now, Pastor Jason, as we worked with you, you guys already had a video in establishment. So we kind of took that video, made sure that we edited, put everything together just to make it succinct. And we've got a nice kind of 1:30 to 2-minute video for the church. However, for our clients that we're working with, businesses that do not have video content, we do have a videography team that can outfit businesses with anywhere from a 30-second video on. Okay. So the benefit is here, yeah, if we're teamed up with that community, that city, that municipality, that chamber in your case, we can host the video content directly on the video program, or for businesses where we're not working with that community directly, the benefit as well, Google does put high weight on video content on the Google page and also video content for your website. Okay. Now, for you here, we also have this strong backlinking authority from the chamber's video program to your website. As that person clicks on your website here, they're directed to the website for further information. Okay. So that backlinking authority really works out nicely for us there. So that's how we initially got started with you. And then we really focused on our next services, making sure that the church was showing up strongly. So 3 things that we focus on in our quarterly meetings. First, the online enhancements. And the online enhancements, that's where when we first started working with you, we wanted to make sure that we really gained you access to this Google My Business page for the church right here. Okay. So we claimed that page for you. And this gained us the background access to the Google page as we can now see it right here. Now, if you remember, Pastor Jason, when we first started working with you and Jacob, this page was very, very bland and basic. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So we did a lot of customization with this page here. So first of all, in your categories, Google simply had you listed as church. Okay. So Google's kind of limited in the categories that we can choose from. So what we ended up doing was going into those categories and seeing what Google had to offer. So what I mean by their limitations here, if I type in church, these are kind of the options that we have to choose from. Some of them applicable, others not.
Oh, gospel church would work.
Gospel church.
Yes.
So what we'll do as we go through these quarterly meetings and meeting with Pastor Jason, I kind of let him know, hey, if Google's added anything new that might be a fit for us, we can add that. Okay. So I'm going to add in there gospel church for us too. And then when I apply that, we're just going to see here, that's just going to be under review through Google. Google's going to realize I've made an update to the page. They're just going to simply review that information. That should go live up and running for us. Okay. So we are limited in the categories to what Google has to choose from. However, where we have those limits, that's also where we go into the labels here. We build out keyword content in the labels because Google can crawl through the background of the page. Paying attention to the labels, they can realize what we have to offer. That's going to help us to show up more strongly in these searches that we built out for outdoor worship, beach worship, etc. Okay. Now in the labels, we are limited to 10 labels there, but where we have those limits, that's where we also go into the services here. And with the services, same idea. We want strong keyword detailed build out. Okay. Providing Google with information to know, yeah, these are services that we take care of. So although Google may not have a category, for instance, for ministry, okay, we have children's ministry, youth ministry, men's and women's ministry built out. So if somebody's searching that out more specifically, yeah, we're going to have the best opportunity to show up in that search. Okay. So that's where we focus on building out some of the online enhancements on the Google page with kind of keywords. Now, we also want to make sure in Google's eyes, we're always going to have kind of that geographic limitation to where you're physically located. And for us, that's Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. Okay. However, what we've done here is we've gone into the service areas and we've let Google know, hey, these are other areas where we service parishioners out of, or other areas where we might see parishioners or families reaching out to us from. So also providing a little bit more of that broader reach. Okay. So we can go into the service areas, build those out. I know I've gone over those with you extensively. Any other areas that we should add there, Pastor Jason?
My question is, we can't do out-of-state service areas, can we, or can we?
So that's the idea. When it comes to out-of-state areas, if there's any area that you're looking to hit, I always kind of mention with the service areas, we really want to stick to around kind of a 40 to 45 minute radius around the church.
Yeah, okay.
If we're getting broader than that, I don't want to confuse Google or their algorithms here. So if we're looking to target other states, in that case, that would be where we would look at Google Ads.
Okay.
And we do have a designated Google Ads team too. Okay. So
yeah, I just noticed because we've been getting a lot of online stuff, and that's what just raised that question. We're starting to get we have consistency of areas where we have online viewing.
Yes. Yep. So we can target certain areas outside of kind of geographic limitation through Google Ads. And I can always walk anybody through that may be interested too. Mm-hmm. But this kind of gives us that strong local presence with the Google My Business page that would show up in local search here.
Right.
Okay. And then scrolling down further, we want to make sure we've got your hours of operations built out. I always touch base with you on the special hours too, where we can mark holidays or certain hours or times where you might be closed or have limited hours. So we always go into that and make sure that that's up to speed. And then scrolling down further, we know as well, when somebody does a Google search, seeing the Google My Business page for the church, they have a few what we call action buttons that they can click on below your name here. They can click on website, directions, save, or call. So in the background of the page, we also want to make sure we've got the phone number built out for those people doing a search on a mobile device. If they're looking to get in contact with you, clicking easily to call you is a great option there. Okay. And as a result, we have seen not only our visibility increase, but the actions through website and through phone call, which I'm really proud of. So we've got the phone number built out, the website as well linked up. And then scrolling down further, we have this from the business area where we can identify attributes. So this is really helpful too. From the business, we can identify as Black owned, Latino owned, veteran led, veteran owned, or women owned. We can identify accessibility. We can also identify amenities, crowd, or recycling there, which they have for churches. Sometimes as well, they will also kind of provide COVID guidelines. So if there's any customization with that the business wants people to be made aware of, we can do that too. We do have our detailed description, establishment date. And what's really nice here too, those people viewing the Google page, they can click on see photos. And when they click on see photos, they are directed right to our photo gallery. So Pastor Jason, for instance, had just sent me this new photo as of yesterday, and we uploaded that. Great photo. And then also just a few events that they had going on. We always want to make sure that we've got updated content for photos. Google looks at that very highly. They'll recognize that our content is more up to speed than somebody whose content is stagnant. That will help us to show up in search. And what we'll see here too, lower left-hand corner of each photo, we can see the amount of views to each photo. So we'll notice here, as we add more photos, yeah, we get more clicks, more engagement to those photos too. Speaking of updated content and engagement, another thing that we're always on top of is this Google Posts section right here. So with Google Posts, I always mention to churches that I work with, it's a great way to let those families, those parishioners know of events that are going on for the church or community events that you're involved with. So these are a few of the Google Posts that we've put together. Pastor Jason and Jacob have kind of sent me over photos and events that they're coordinating. And we've put those events out. We can always do an update or do an event that's running for kind of a definitive period of time. So if we scroll down here, a lot of different posts that we've made for you guys too. Okay.
Yeah,
and I always let Pastor Jason know if he has any event coming up, all we're looking for is just a photo and some detailed content that we can put together. And we want to make sure that we got a call to action. So we add these learn more, call now buttons too. Okay. So great for engagement. And that kind of goes over how we build out the Google page. However, what Google pays attention to is not just that Google page. I talk to a lot of clients that they're of the mindset, okay, Matt, we make sure we've got a strong Google presence. That's going to be the end all be all for us. But the case is here, what Google pays attention to is this local search ecosystem. And as of June and July of this past year, what Google's very focused on is what they recognize as primary listing and citation outlets. So what we run for Pastor Jason and Hope on the Beach Church is what we call a Bright Local report. And Bright Local tunes us in to exactly what outlets Google's paying attention to with high authority. So to show you this ecosystem here, it kind of shows you where business information is being sent out to and gathered from across the web. And the idea is Google's cross-referencing these primary outlets because we have to keep in mind, Google's main objective is to make sure that they've got the most up-to-date, consistent, concise information for businesses. They're very mindful of the fact. At the point that they don't, that's when somebody will start looking at using a competing search engine. So their main focus is making sure that they have correct information for businesses. So they will crawl across listing and citation outlets. So we not only build out the Google page, but we also go through our online enhancement summary here too, making sure that quarter after quarter, as we really run those Bright Local reports, we're paying attention to those primary outlets, building out that authority, building out that consistency for your identity. Okay. So we can see in this last report that we put together for you, e-business pages, we can notice here the domain authority is at 47%. Now, anything that we notice with a domain authority of 40% or above means Google's crawling through that with consistency. Okay. So we'll see here, the problem on e-business pages, there wasn't a listing for Hope on the Beach Church. So we created that listing for Hope on the Beach Church. And what we pay attention to is what we call NAP consistency. Now, NAP is an acronym just standing for name, address, phone number. Okay. We've got to make sure that all the information we build out across these listings is really matching up to the presence that we have on the Google page here. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Can I stop you on that a little bit, Matt?
of course.
Because this was huge for us because we had some name changes, location changes, and and you made us aware of sites that had our information and sites that didn't have our information that Google was looking at. And so you did a huge reputation cleanup for us.
Mhm.
And then brought everything into consistency. So I'm thinking, we got a question. It's along the same line that a church recently relocated, spent time between locations at a third location. As a result, we have an ID, contact information, map info competing on web search engines among all three locations.
Yep.
Original, temporary location. So how can they eliminate all the inaccurate information, establish only accurate information on every search engine? How is that something they can do, or they're going to need outside help?
In those cases, what we end up doing for businesses that went through name changes, went through location changes, at that point, we take a look at Google first. And we want to go through and see if there's any what we would call duplicate pages showing up for the business. So in other locations, if there is a Google page showing up, we'll claim that page. And then we want to mark that page as temporary. We want to mark that page as permanently closed because that has changed location. Now, if the business name is not consistent on Google, we'll go into that page and we'll update the name. So that was one of the things that we had to do for Hope on the Beach Church, because previously the Google page was showing up as Hope on the Beach Lutheran Church.
Mm-hmm.
So we needed to make sure that we had that name consistency too. Now, across other listing and citation outlets, if they're noticing that on other outlets, we'll go into those outlets, we'll claim those pages, or if there's not an option to claim, we'll get in touch with customer support, make them aware of what the business listing information should be, and then go through that change from there.
Yeah, it's a lot of process. It's not something simple that you can just.
Certainly is. And that's the thing. Our main goal is to make sure that you can go back to doing what you do best. Okay. When it comes to dealing with families, when it comes to church-oriented business, building out a faith community, you guys are the best at that. But when it comes down to these things online, we want to take some of these spinning plates off of your plate. So we'll go into the background, we'll make all the necessary changes in accordance to what Google's paying attention to. Okay. Any other kind of questions that we're getting through there? I want to make sure I'm not ignoring anything.
No, I just thought that was a question that was very pertinent to what you were talking about, because you
Absolutely.
did. I mean, every time we met, you were saying, "Oh, by the way,
Yes.
we found this and we found that," and
Yep.
we had no idea that information was on all these different other places, and that's your credibility issue with Google. If you got misinformation, then it hurts your credibility, which then hurts your ranking. And
Yes.
plus, it confuses people. So you were eliminating all that misinformation, because we've moved too, so we had wrong addresses and all the other. We had multiple levels of titles and addresses, stuff like that.
Name, address, and phone number was something we had to go through consistently and just make sure it was matching up.
Yeah.
Google is paying attention to the business website too. So you want to make sure that all the information on the Google page is matching up to the information on the website, and that all that information is matching up across those key listing and citation outlets too. So we're very strategic in our online enhancements. What we really focus on first is what we recognize as these primary data aggregators. Kind of the way I like to explain primary data aggregators to my clients. If you've been to a wedding where they've done a champagne tower, as they fill up that top glass of the pyramid, that filters down and fills up all the lower glasses. So if you can picture primary data aggregators being that top glass, what that means is if we fill up that top glass with rich, correct, consistent information, it's going to have a trickle down effect to all these other outlets because these primary data aggregators are sending out information to these outlets. Okay. So we want to make sure those are correct. And then we start working our way on down. So other outlets that we built out for you, Spoke, you didn't have a listing, and Who Do You didn't have a listing. Now, these three outlets are not outlets where I would expect people are going to be looking for a church. But what this means is these are outlets that Google's paying attention to. And if Google's paying attention to these outlets, if it's going to affect how we're showing up online, we've got to make sure we have that consistent presence. So we'll do that through our online enhancements consistently. But what we also go through as well is the evaluation of those background elements on your website that I was speaking of. Okay. Because as of June and July, Google went through a core search update and a core web vitals update, and they're paying attention much more to business websites. They're crawling through content on the website. They're paying attention to business sites because they know one of the options that people have is to click on website right here. And if they're directed to a website that's not strong, capable, or user-friendly, at that point, that person may start looking to use a different search engine, okay, or looking at a different business. So we're evaluating those background kind of strength and build out on the site. So we go through our phase SEO technical reports, and we can see right now we're on phase 3 of our SEO technical report. In working with Pastor Jason and Jacob, we have the login information and credentials for the website. So anything that we're noticing that's out of line on the website, we can always log into the site and make the changes needed. So we'll run the website through a series of tests. And if we take a look at a few of these tests, what we evaluate, www versus non-www, and HTTPS versus HTTP. This test just means when somebody goes to the site or they're typing in the website address, regardless of what they're typing in before that address, we want to make sure they're directed effectively to the site. So we check that out. The website passed. What we will see here is the website ADA compliant. Now, when we went over this test with you for the church in November, when this was put together, the website failed for ADA compliancy, and that's American with Disabilities Act. Google wants to make sure when a customer is getting directed to the website, regardless of who the audience is or disabilities that they may have, that the website is accessible for them. So when this report was put together, there was not an ADA widget on the website. What we did is we logged into the website and we put this ADA widget right here. And this has the friendly information for anybody with a disability going to the website, making sure that as they click on these buttons, the website is accommodating for them. So not only helpful for the audience going to the website, making sure that they have a sound experience, but also Google's going to realize we have an ADA accessible website. That's going to help us to show up more prominently in search. They're going to have more confidence guiding people to your business and your website as a result of that. Okay. So we'll see here. At first, we were failing that test. We did implement that. And then visitor facing sitemap here. We failed that test, but what we did end up doing is going into the website and we added the visitor facing sitemap towards the bottom of the site right here. Okay. And that's just making sure for people using a mobile device, as they're getting directed to the church's website, as they're scrolling down, they can go to sitemap here, see all the different pages that they can click through and seamlessly click through that too. It's also for Google's organization and kind of crawling through your page or through your website. So creates not only user organization, but also Google recognizing the effectiveness of the organization of the website too. So the other tests here, we took a look at meta keywords. We were passing there. Meta keywords, they'll kind of, the idea with meta keywords is we don't want meta keywords on the website. We want meta descriptions. Meta keywords for a website are keyword stuffing, and Google kind of frowns upon that. So we take a look, and ideally we want to see that the website is free of any meta keywords, which it was, so we passed. We take a look at if there's any broken links on the website. We don't want any broken links, so we pass that. URLs for the website are short and user-friendly. And then we take a look across index searches and just make sure that there's not any duplicate URLs showing up for the church's website. So we pass there too. We initially had a score of 5 out of 7, but since we've implemented those changes with the visitor-facing sitemap and the ADA widget, we're now passing with a 7 out of 7. So this is our phase 3 report. In phase 2, we had some issues that we resolved. Phase 1, we passed effectively, but we will kind of continuously evaluate the website through these phase SEO reports and just make sure everything Google needs to see on the site is in line. Okay.
Well, Matt, now something simple as you told us that we didn't have is that we had our address in the bottom, which our web developer said, in the bottom drawer. And you're like, no, Google's looking for that right up top. And so put it up top, put it up front, and it will help you with Google. And so that was just, that's something minor, but we had a web guy who is pretty knowledgeable, but he didn't see that, know that. So that was really helpful too.
Absolutely. And that was our phase 2 SEO report where we evaluated NAP consistency on the website. And we want to see the NAP information, name, address, phone number in the top header, which we can see right here. And also, like you were mentioning, in the bottom footer. Now, as you mentioned, it was in the bottom footer, but it wasn't in the top header. And Google's going to recognize that strength and identity in the top header. But also, for a user going to your website, we've got to keep in mind kind of that mobile effectiveness for the website. And if they have a call to action in the top header and the bottom footer, that's going to help as they're kind of scrolling through. Okay. So effective not only for Google, but for user capability to your website too. Now, where the online enhancements are helping us to show up in the searches that we need to, and those SEO reports are helping for that strength for the website, that's what's afforded us the opportunity to kind of move up and progress in the searches that we need to. So I focused on a few of these searches here. First search I did, worship, Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. Okay. We'll notice with these searches, I like to go from kind of broad to more narrowed down. So in that very broad search for worship, we are showing up as the top result. Now, I'm always going to hold my focus in what we call this top 3 or the local 3-pack. Okay. The reason I hold my focus there, if you're not showing up in that local 3-pack, that means that somebody has to click on more places to find you. And then they'll have to scroll through all these results on going down. So we can see for worship in Santa Rosa Beach, there's 2 pages of results, 20 results on each page. Okay. So we are effectively showing up as the top result. Now, where I hold my focus as well, if we're showing up in the top 3 and we have the top ranking with the most reviews, that's what's really going to guide and point those families your direction with trust and confidence. So we'll also see here too, we've got the top ranking with a 4.8 and resoundingly the most reviews with 41 reviews. Now, when we first started working with Hope on the Beach, they were showing up with 11 reviews. So since our startup meeting, we are up 30 reviews. And I'll go over ways that we gain reviews too. But focusing on a few more of these searches, I did a search for churches in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. In that search, we are showing up in the top 3, third result. But again, most reviews and top ranking there. And then doing a search for Lutheran church, we are the top result in that search. And then doing a search for Bible churches, we are showing up in the top 3, second result there. Okay. So I would urge, if any church kind of listening in, any church leadership, any pastor has interest in what we can accomplish for the church. Like I mentioned, if you reach out to me, I would love to set up a meeting with myself or one of our representatives. But what we'll do is kind of personalize this experience for you. And we'll make sure that we really hone in on those searches that you as a church really want to make sure that you're showing up in. This is by no means just a cookie cutter approach. We're very personalized to that. And we'll show you the ongoing progress. Okay. where the online enhancements, the SEO technical reports are creating that visibility. Like I mentioned, we know as well what's going to push those parishioners, those families your direction with trust and confidence is these reviews, testimonials coming directly from parishioners and families that have had an experience with the church. So pretty hard to ignore here, that 4.8 ranking in the volume of reviews. And then if we take a look to what I always appreciate, not only do we have 5-star reviews, but it's great to go through these reviews with Pastor Jason and have them really see these are people that are taking valuable time out of their day to really post very positive experiences. Okay. So we do go through as well our review summary. And to kind of show you what we do to gain reviews, we've outfit Hope on the Beach Church with our customized review dashboard right here. Okay. Any clients that we work with, we will customize this review dashboard for the church. Okay. We'll make sure that we set up everything effectively. And what I ended up doing in meeting with Pastor Jason and Jacob, I walked them through basically what our review outreach would look like. That's one of the large things that we take care of is review outreach. So all we're asking for from Pastor Jason is essentially a parishioner list. We're looking for first and last name, email address, and cell phone number if provided. Okay. Because we can send out these review requests either through text or through email. Okay. Now, email and cell phone is ideal because at that point, when we're reaching out to that parish member, it provides them with the opportunity to kind of choose how they would like to respond. And we got to keep in mind, there's some people that may be more responsive to text message than they are to email. Okay. If those parish members are anybody like me, I get a lot of spam messages, but I'll always pay attention to my text messages. So I'm going to be one of those people that would probably be more apt to respond through text. But once we have that information, what we do is go to send review request. We enter in new contact here. We'll enter in that person's first and last name, cell phone number, and email address, and click send. Now, when we click send, this is what the person receives directly through email. Okay. So we'll have the information for the church, the logo formatted right up at the top. And then, how was your experience? Thank you for choosing, or thank you for being a part of Hope on the Beach Church family. And what we did is personalize this message here. Okay. So we can personalize the text that's on the message. Then that person can click on Google to rate you on Google, or Facebook to rate you on Facebook. So if I wasn't logged in administratively to the background of the Google page for Hope on the Beach Church, when I click on review us on Google, it would actually take me to an area that's prompting me to rate you on a 5-star scale right off the bat. Okay. And then write out my detailed review. So it could not be more simple. And what I get as far as feedback from churches and faith communities that I work with is they'll mention, we've prompted some of our members to write reviews. However, after we prompt them, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. So what this review request is doing is saying, hey, you're a valued member of our church. And as a valued member, we would really appreciate your valued feedback. Okay. So that's very easily done through the email review request, or they can click on Facebook. And when they click on Facebook, we've linked that directly up to the Facebook review page for Hope on the Beach Church. And they can recommend you directly through Facebook too. Okay. Now, if we go over to what they would receive through text message, very similar here. Okay. The logo, and then we have that brief kind of text information blurb. Once they click on that link, it's going to guide them over to this outlet where, again, they can rate you on Google or Facebook. Okay. We will also notice here too, through text and through email, we've outfit this contact us directly. Now, the reason for that is if we're reaching out to somebody who hasn't had a positive experience, say they've had a negative experience. Now, any church might not necessarily want that publicly posted directly online, but they might want the opportunity to kind of approach that with that member of the church. So if they click on contact us directly, it'll take them over to this area. Sorry to hear about that. Please tell us about your experience below. So this kind of intercepts any issues before it becomes a public negative review online. And our review dashboard receives that as internal negative feedback. And we'll make you aware of any negative feedback. We'll know who that's coming from. And then obviously what they posted as a negative experience, so that you, your administration, or your leadership have the opportunity to approach that with that person however you please. Okay. On top of that as well, we also really monitor for any negative reviews actively posted to the Google or the Facebook page too. So we outfit Hope on the Beach Church with what we call our Sentinel software. And Sentinel's added as a user to the Google page. It'll make us aware of any negative review that comes through publicly. Okay, because many times if somebody's had a negative experience, those are the people that are they'll take kind of their own volition, go to the page and post a negative review. Unfortunately, they can be very vocal. So if a negative review comes through, we're notified as to that immediately. And then we will email Pastor Jason and let him know, hey, this negative review has come through. It's come from this person. This is what they wrote. Fortunately, we haven't had any negative reviews come through, which is a good thing. But we'll always provide you with the opportunity to make what we call an owner response. And that's where we can go under the review here. And as you provide us with what you'd like to reply with, we can post that owner response on your behalf too. Okay. So I hope that provides a good overview of kind of how we gain positive reviews, along with how we defend against any negative reviews too. Does anybody kind of have any questions in regards to that we're seeing at all?
No, I have some questions to other things. I was waiting towards the end.
Yeah.
So.
Not a problem. Okay. And then we also go through our statistical analysis. Now, with the statistical analysis, what we do as well for the website and everything that we kind of take care of for the website, we have outfit Hope on the Beach Church with this "If you like us, rate us" button on the website, where I would be kind of remiss if I didn't address this here. This is a great tool. We realize that beyond the active review outreach, we can gain positive reviews from those people that go to your website actively. So if that person clicks on "If you like us, rate us" here, it immediately takes them over to this area where, much like through the review request, they can rate you through the website on Google or Facebook there. Okay. But we also outfit with the avatar that we'll see in the lower right-hand corner here. So the avatar is welcoming the visitor to the site, asking them how they found out about you. Now, we customize the avatar to exactly what your church is involved with, as far as throughout the community or any advertising. So one of the things that I asked Pastor Jason and Jacob upon our first meeting is, hey, what are we involved with? Where do you have people reaching out to you from? Because I know if I can provide them with that feedback as to not only how our program's working for them, but really how his advertising in general is working for them, that's going to show them kind of dollars to donuts, what's actually working and going to help them to make effective decisions as to the budget. So with this avatar on the site, we're actively tracking how those visitors have said that they found out about you. Now, they don't have to fill out the information here. Okay. The idea is if they do, it's 100% more information than we ever had to begin with without that avatar. Okay. And we've gotten some great responses here. So if we take a look at our next measure report here, this will kind of show us where those people are voicing that they found out about the church through the avatar on the website. So we'll see. There's about 23.8% of those people saying they've reached out to the church through internet search. Friend family referral at about just over 13.5%. Yard sign, 17%. And I know in talking to you, Pastor Jason, you are never too surprised about kind of yard sign or in-person experience there.
Mhm.
But what's been really exciting is kind of seeing quarterly that internet search growing for us. Okay. And what I always like to see here, there's nothing that's kind of sticking out as an expenditure that's not getting us a lot of feedback here. So if I'm noticing any misbalance here, we'll always address that. I'm certainly not here to tell you where to spend your dollars, but I'm here to show you with plain clarity exactly where it's working for you so that you have that truth, that clarity to make those decisions. So we'll track that through the avatar. And then my clients also really appreciate the fact if you're ever kind of approached as to advertising, anything that you're interested in, that you'd like a background check on, I will certainly do the background research on that. I'll cross-reference that with the rest of my team. I work with 35 other account executives. And if it's nothing I've heard of before, we'll explore it. We'll take a look at it. But the idea is not only are we tracking the advertising effectiveness for Hope on the Beach Church, but all of our clients. So if it's something that we've noticed our clients have had a great rate of return on, we'll let you know it may be a great investment for you. Or if it's something where we've noticed somebody's been involved and they felt as though they've wasted dollars, we'll let you know where you can kind of save those dollars too. Okay. So
Yeah, just talk about money for a second there.
yeah,
Because we've done a couple mailings in our area, and then we were doing mailings for the new arrivals, so newcomers to the area, a newcomer mailer, and we just that money alone in those mailers is what really sold us that it was a kind of becoming a waste because it was not getting a huge return.
yeah,
Which they do say it's about a 3% return, but you put all the money you put into any kind of mailers, the yard signs is the same thing. I mean, we were putting a pretty good amount of energy and money into yard signs. That used to be I was our number one for the longest time. Uh, but the problem with all those things is have a very short life.
yes,
Uh, you, People can pick them up, people throw them away. I find them in bushes, you know.
yeah,
So some of those yard signs we've used maybe twice, but the county usually gets them now, and there's more stricter rules. So that's one of the major, one of the principles we always use is find your niche and that distinguish you between other churches and really use it. Nobody was doing yard signs, so we went heavy on yard signs.
mm,
And now the county's pushed back, and there's some other churches doing yard signs. But also just reality is those things are just temporary.
yes,
And so what's really nice is that the internet is consistent. It's always there. And
yep,
so investing in this is for a long-term gain and not the short-term hit. There's still places for yard signs and stuff like that, but I think it's a very limited compared to if you're gonna put energy, you only have so much money. I highly shifted over to internet than that. And the other thing we didn't put on there, I noticed we didn't put events as a
yep.
category. We should have put events up there.
Yeah, and I can format that directly onto the avatar. Would you want that as just events or community events? What would be
Yeah,
best?
community events, because we do 4 large community events usually a year. This year we might only do 3.
Okay.
Um, and I was just like, yeah, we got a lot of people that get to know us from those events. And that would have been good to measure those. I missed that.
And I'll add that directly to the avatar for you too.
Yeah.
That's the good news. As I kind of meet with my clients, if there's anything new that you're involved with, I can easily go into the avatar, update that, and that'll be featured as an option there too. And along with that too, the one thing I kind of want people to keep in mind, I've got a client that I work with. His name's Al Moreno, and he's the financial director for St. Mary Queen of Angels Catholic Church. And the one thing that he was mentioning, he goes, Matt, I also realize that when those people do kind of a word of mouth search, so kind of what we would notice here is friend family referral, even when they're hearing about the church, he was mentioning, they hear about us, but they don't know where we're located or our phone number. And he goes, I'm really mindful of the fact when somebody gets referred to our church, they'll go online to Google and they'll do a search for our church's name. And in that case too, the benefit is when that person does a direct search, it's very hard for them to ignore the fact that we're showing up with a great ranking and abundance of reviews.
Yeah.
And now that's not just a referral from one person when we have 41 other positive reviews to back that up. So we do know those referrals or word of mouth that will turn into Google searches for us too.
Our time's getting a little bit tight here, and
Yep.
I don't know if you can stay on, it'd be great. But I want you to show the page if you could, and then I want to ask you some questions people have. Do you have the page where the results are, like how many hits we've had, or
Yep.
That's the page that just
Yep. So what we also go over with our statistical analysis is we'll go over Google Analytics. And with Google Analytics, we want to make sure that Google Analytics is linked up to your website so that we can see total user engagement to the website. We will see here, if we focus on the date range is August 20th through November 20th. So that was our last quarterly meeting together there towards kind of the end of November. And what we want to see here is the vast majority of total users being new users. Those are people that haven't been to the website before. That's going to be ideal. That means that we have the opportunity to work with new members. Okay. Our engagement rate, we always want to see that around 60% or above. The engagement rate, what Google counts into that is kind of time spent on the website and actions that the person is taking. Okay. User engagement, really high for us here. That's measured in hours, minutes, and seconds. And then if we take a look at where the engagement to the website's coming from, it's no surprise to see here, our highest engagement is through Google. And we've got 768 users being directed to the website through Google. So very strong there. So that's kind of some key information that we'll pay attention to with Google Analytics. We'll also pay attention to page flow, where we can see what pages people are clicking on the most. This dash is going to be your homepage. We always expect that to have the highest amount of views because when somebody sees the Google page, when they click on website, they're first directed to the homepage. Regionally, we can see where we're showing up the strongest. And then what I've been really proud in working with Hope on the Beach Church here, this is what we call Google Insights. And with Google Insights, that's where we focus on the Google My Business page that we're taking care of right here for the church. So what we do, when we gained access to the page for Hope on the Beach Church, we could backdate this to last year, that same period of time. So we can see here the total searches that we're showing up in just that 3-month period, we're showing up in 19,759 total searches. Comparing that to the same date range, August 20th to November 20th last year, that literally means we're 136% more visible across Google search. That's tremendous. Okay. Direct searches here, that's when somebody's typing in the name of the church directly. So we've gotten some strong word of mouth, referrals, and also if anybody kind of sees any paid advertising for the church, that's when they would do that direct search, typing in Hope on the Beach Church. Okay. But discovery searches, that's largely where we're helping out. Those are those more generalized searches that we focused on: worship, churches, Lutheran church, etc. Okay. So we're 60% more visible there. Total views. This will show us here, views to photos here. So our total photo views have gone up 212% by adding those photos to the page, creating that engagement. Local post search views, those are people clicking on the post section where we have posts right here. So always good to see that engagement increasing. But if we take a look at total actions here, this will show us when somebody sees the Google page, what action buttons they're clicking on below the church's name here, whether that's website, directions, or call. Okay. So we can see the total actions went up 33%. Website actions went up 22%. Phone call actions are up almost 127%. And direction actions for the church up 92%. Okay. So The one thing we keep in mind, these actions, 100% of them are coming through the Google page. The only way website actions get tracked is when somebody sees the Google page and clicks on this website button right here. The only way phone calls get tracked is when they click on call right here. So what I've kind of mentioned to Pastor Jason too, we have to keep in mind with that increase in website actions going up there, that doesn't take into account people that are getting directed to the website and possibly clicking to call you off the website. These phone call actions, it's only through the Google page. So a lot of engagement there.
All right. One question I had was, we have a church that someone took claim of their Google page and they can't get the password or get it back. What do you suggest for them to do?
Yep. So we have had businesses that we've worked with before where they've had issues in getting ownership over the Google page. In that case, what we would do is put through the request for ownership. And if that request for ownership is not responded to within a certain period of time, I believe it's about 3 days now through Google. At that point, Google will provide the ownership after that request. However, if that request is denied, at that point, we would have to get in touch with Google support and let them know that somebody without authorization has access to the Google page. And then we can go through a postcard verification or a phone call verification to gain that access. So that is a little bit more of an extensive process, but we've certainly guided our customers through that very, very frequently before too. Unfortunately, that has been issues that we faced.
All right. A lot of you they're all running to the cost. And I know that, and I would say that I talked to a couple of churches and not everybody has planned or budgeted the cost. And I don't know how your costs do vary from church to church, or is it just a standard cost? But I'll invite you to talk to Matt about it. But I will also let you know that the district does have, mission grants available that can help with it, assist with it. We can't do the total cost, and we obviously can't do everybody. But if you wanted to apply for the grants with the missions committee, and you're welcome to do that. And for some reason, why Daisy, I'm forgetting the name of the grant it's called. But the missions committee will review those and can reward those. So if this is something you want to pursue with Matt, please do. Oh, Kindle, Spirit Kindle. Thank you so much. So if you want to apply for Spirit Kindle grant in order to take on this service for a year, I would encourage you to do that. I would encourage you to put plans together. I would encourage you to figure out how you can rethink about how you allocate your resources. I would encourage you to look at investing, and if you get to do a special fundraiser or something like that, to make a special call and ask people to make a special investment. This isn't something for your overall long-term health and growth. This is not just a one-time shop, it's just going to be a splash and dash. This is for long-term development and awareness of ministry. Google's obviously not going away. So, and this is the way people think and work in our world. So I really would encourage you to look at that. We can debate whether how well you can track the effectiveness of other things. I would just tell you that all the research will show you that even mailers and door hangers have about a 3% return, and it's kind of interesting. That's where ours kind of showed up. So
Yeah,
that's pretty standard return on that stuff. And I know that for me, the cost to mail my whole area in a bulk mail is the same cost we use to partner with Matt.
Mhm.
So it's a no-brainer. Do I do a one-time mail or do I invest in Google? It was a no-time brainer. Do I invest in a staff person and have more? We took money out of admin support. We had an administrative support person. We're like, do we take the increased our hours? No, we're going to put that money over here because this is a staff person that's working for us all the time. And this is something that's terribly needed. and we saw it, and we see the results from it. So it is some tough decision making. I know we just said, I'm shifting my whole outreach budget. We're shifting staffing budget. Our board is seeing the effects of it, and we're excited about it, we're happy about it, and we're grateful for the ongoing work that goes on, and that we just send stuff, like we said, we throw stuff at them and they make it look good and put it there for us. So it's been very helpful, and I appreciate the feedback we get from it. You actually have something, you measure what you do and not just keep doing something without any idea.
And that's the fun part. I mean, there is a lot that goes on, of course, behind the scenes in regards to what we're taking care of, and it can get very dense. But what I really appreciate is the fact that I get to meet with you every quarter, go over the progress, kind of pull back the curtain, show you everything that's going on. And obviously, hearing the stories from you in regards to success rates that you're seeing too. I look at myself as really a part of your team. And that's what I want my clients to know too, that this is not a cookie cutter approach. If we set up a meeting with you, or if you reach out to me for a meeting, I have clients that I work with where St. Mary Queen of Angels Catholic Church, we ended up doing a new website for them. For you already had your website and establishment. So that was fantastic. We won't outfit you with bells and whistles you don't necessarily need. It's going to be a very personalized and customized approach.
Yeah, I think that's important. You do customize and you reach our needs. You have all additional services that we've looked at, and you've told us, hey, don't think of that one's not probably good for you.
Yeah.
But if you want to do one, this would be the one I would suggest. And so, we're looking at doing a couple other services too, but this has been incredibly comprehensive and incredibly helpful, especially since we've had, like some others, you had multiple locations, identities, and misinformation. That's just real hindrances.
Yep.
And it's really difficult to get reviews. Imagine, I get a lot of email reviews, but people won't do it on Google and Facebook. There's that fear of being out there in the public, I guess, and it's permanent.
Yeah.
And so they're a little hesitant, but having them to help cultivate that is a real help. And the fact that it's done, well, it looks like it's presented well to them and not just something thrown to them, so they can take it serious for those who do it.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of other questions. I think you did a great job, man, of covering stuff again. And
I hope so.
Again, not everybody can do everything. So take what you can. And if you want to take next steps with Matt, I encourage you to do that. If you need help with funding, then put together a Spirit Kindle grant. Talk to me about that. I'll help you put it together. And we'll see how we can help and assist you and your church and your schools and do that, especially churches with schools.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it's incredibly important for you all to get your school out there in the community. I'm always asked, like, how do I let people know more and more about our school? And they feel trapped, especially in a city. You can't put signs out on the concrete. And this is what I'm feeling like is showing a lot of results for us. We've had, and I don't know, I can say it's been this, I can say it's been a lot of things. Our area does have growth, but we've had a incredible uptick in the last 6 months. And so we're grateful for the growth and the uptick in a lot of different things. And so we just recognize this is one thing that's working. We're not saying it's the silver bullet that's making everything work, but it has blessed and helped us. And we want to really share it with you all and at least make you aware of it. And if you don't go with Matt and you find somebody else, great. If that works for you, that works. But at least be aware that you have these tools and how to use them, or to start using them if you haven't, and take control of those tools, because people are looking at them. And they're looking and they're making decisions all the time without us being aware of it. So if you're not utilizing it, you're missing easy opportunity. Many of you do Facebook posts, and I'm sitting here making notes to myself going, I can't believe we didn't share that on the Google page again. It's not all natural, even in our minds, to go, oh, send that to Matt so he can put it up under the Google page post. It's just not in our thinking. It's still not. We're still thinking Instagram and Facebook, and Oh yeah, by the way, I want to do that too. So yeah, it's a lot to manage. And that's why it's helpful to have Matt there. And that's why I love our quarterly meetings, because he reminds us of things. We get it back into work. Um, and it's just, and then we learn little tweaks here and there, and we keep improving. And that's what's been exciting about it too.
Absolutely.
And you
And
did changes on our website too, and you updated, did the back stuff for us. And that was awesome too.
and that's the thing. I mean, those elements kind of work in conjunction with each other. Your website presence, I mean, making sure that the website's strong, making sure it's capable is only going to help us in search too. So we're here to evaluate that. Daisy, thank you for sharing my contact information there again. I did put that in the chat box.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate that, it's Matt D, MATTD at cgicompany.com. And my office line, 800-398-3029, extension 308. If anybody would like to reach out, like more information, I would love the opportunity to sit down with you, personalize things for you, walk you through what you guys have interest in, searches that you want to make sure that you're showing up in. And I can set that up with myself or one of my team members.
Yeah. And then somebody just asked a question: are those action steps that you showed on paper really happening? Yes. Yes, they actually really happen. We actually get the phone calls, and we get the phone calls on those days. So I know, and
Yep.
it's on paper, but it really does happen.
Yeah.
He's not
And
making that stuff up.
That's one of the things I'll always ask too. I mean, just with phone call actions, I'll kind of ask my clients, looks like Sunday is very busy for us, or looks like Monday's very busy. Is that typically when the phone calls are coming in? And it's nice to see it's matching up to the stats that we're seeing through Google too.
Yep. Well, thanks again, Matt. I appreciate your time. And I know that it seems from what I've been hearing on the chat, people really appreciate it. You have opened up some eyes and give some opportunities. And we just pray, I just pray all this to just be a blessing of the kingdom and just help people in their life and grow in faith. So thank you so much for giving your time and for what you do for us. And we encourage other people, connect with Matt if you want to. But please go ahead, use these tools, man. He just showed you a wealth of stuff, and I hope you see the opportunity of that and can use that. So thanks very much for joining the webinar. If you want to get a hold of Matt, his information then is in the chat. It is again, I lost, there it is. It's Matt D at cgicompany.com, 800-398-3029, extension 308. You can also get a hold of me at j.sheeler@southernlcms.org, or you can call the district office there and you can hit my extension, or to 850-520-0800 is my cell number. We're here to help you in any way we can and supporting you in the mission. And so let me know how we can come alongside of you and help. We just thought I learned this tool and really wanted to share it with you. And we'll keep doing that with other tools coming up throughout the year. So look forward to it. Again, we invite you to join the Leverage Network. The Leverage Network joins monthly, and we do coaching calls and just get together, coach, encourage one another, go through the systems of the church and evaluate them, just kind of like we did here. This is kind of like looking at a system, your website. We look at the bigger picture of outreach systems, or look at worship systems, or stewardship, discipleship. What is those other leadership systems that you're doing, volunteerism? So look at those different systems, break them down, work through them, and adapt them and apply them to where you're at to help you. And also just be a place to ask any question you got going on, or any challenge, get help from a variety of people. So again, thanks for plugging in. Look forward to connecting with you very soon. God bless. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Pastor Jason.
You bet, man.